explosive testimony. People are, I dare say, telling the truth. Shocking. All right, let's go to it. Here's the first video.
When we were in the offstage announce area tent behind the stage, he was very concerned about the shot, meaning the photograph that we would get, because the rally space wasn't full. He wanted it to be full and for people to not feel excluded because they'd come far to watch him at the rally. And he felt the mags were at fault for not letting everybody in. But another leading reason, and likely the primary reason, is because he wanted it full and he was angry that we weren't letting people through the mags with weapons. I was in the vicinity of a conversation where I overheard the president say something to the effect of, I don't effing care that they have weapons. They're not here to hurt me. Take the effing mags away. Let my people in. They can march to the Capitol from here. Let the people in. Take the effing mags away.
Yeah. Cassidy Hutchinson, former White House aide. Let's be very clear about Donald Trump. I've said this on the record multiple times. Not only did he want that crowd to overthrow democracy, he wanted his own vice president to be killed. Remember, minutes after he learned that they were saying, hang Mike Pence, he sent out a tweet that said Mike Pence has turned his back on the nation. Mm-hmm. He wanted them to find Mike Pence. He wanted them to kill his vice president. He wanted them to overthrow the government. Now, there's another scene described by Hutchinson that occurred after Trump finished speaking at the rally. He was under the impression he would be joining the protesters. Here it is.
When the president got in the beast, he was under the impression from Mr. Meadows that the off-the-record movement to the Capitol was still possible and likely to happen, but that Bobby had more information. And when Bobby had relayed to him, we don't have the assets to do it, it's not secure, we're going back to the West Wing. The president had very strong, a very angry response to that. Tony described him as being irate. The president said something to the effect of, I'm the effing president, take me up to the Capitol now. To which Bobby responded, sir, we have to go back to the West Wing. The president reached up towards the front of the vehicle to grab at the steering wheel. Mr. Engel grabbed his arm, said, sir, you need to take your hand off the steering wheel. We're going back to the West Wing. We're not going to the Capitol. Mr. Trump then used his free hand to lunge towards Bobby Engel. And when Mr. Renato had recounted this story to me, he had motioned towards his clavicles.
Donald Trump wanted to be part of the process of becoming a dictator directly. He wanted to seize power by any means necessary. Democrats are still playing games. You let him get back in power, you can kiss your sweet institution and your coveted form of a democracy goodbye. The little that you got left, it's gone. Now you can keep protecting your reputation and institution thinking that there's something sacred about them. It's not. The only thing left sacred is the voters who put you there to change things before they get this bad. There's more. Now, what do we know? Hutchinson was not in the presidential limousine. She heard about the episode shortly after. Let me tell you why they stopped the president from doing what he wanted to do, which is very rare, by the way. They stopped him because they knew what he was going to do. That's why they stopped him. Hutchinson also testified Trump threw his lunch against the wall because he was so upset at his Secret Service, did not decide to take him to the Capitol. She also mentioned weeks earlier that Trump threw his lunch following an AP interview with Attorney General Bill Barr. Here it is.
I remember hearing noise coming from down the hallway, so I poked my head out of the office and I saw the valet walking towards our office. He had said, get the chief down to the dining room, the president wants him. After Mark had returned, I left the office and went down to the dining room, and I noticed that the door was propped open and the valet was inside the dining room changing the tablecloth off of the dining room table. He motioned for me to come in and then pointed towards the front of the room near the fireplace mantle and the TV, where I first noticed there was ketchup dripping down the wall and there's a shattered porcelain plate on the floor. The valet had articulated that the president was extremely angry at the Attorney General's AP interview and had thrown his lunch against the wall.
This man was unhinged, drunk with power, seeking more of it. Let me remind you of the tweet he sent out to get his vice president killed. Let's put it up. Shortly after Meadows left the dining room, Trump tweeted that now infamous tweet after the Capitol breach. Remember, this is when they were saying hang Mike Pence. He said, Mike Pence did not have the courage to do what should have been done to protect our country and our Constitution, giving states a chance to certify a corrected set of facts, not the fraudulent or inaccurate ones which they were asked to previously certify. USA demands truth. He wanted them to know that Mike Pence wasn't gonna go with the program. But here's the thing, Mike Pence almost did. He tried to. He's calling Dan Quayle, damn Dan Quayle, counsels Mike Pence to not do something grossly illegal. I don't see how Mike Pence is a hero here, because if Mike Pence figured he could get away with it even a little bit, it would have been done. It would have been done. So here we are. Testimony coming out, January 6th committee. They already told you the fix is in, because they're not going to officially tell the DOJ to look into charges or indict. They're not gonna do that. They just want the DOJ to figure this out while looking at it on television or inside of the hearing, right? They're not willing to go after Jenny Thomas. They sent her a letter, sent her a subpoena. Why make a request when you can make a demand? They don't want to talk to Vice President Mike Pence. He's at the middle of all of this because there are two institutions they don't want to take down. One, the presidency itself, because Mike Pence takes that down. And two, the Supreme Court, because Jenny Thomas takes down the Supreme Court. I guarantee you, if they actually investigate Jenny Thomas, they will find direct connection between her and Clarence Thomas and their communications about cases he's ruling on. They still think these institutions are too precious to be touched. They are doing this committee thing to win the midterms, not to seek ultimate justice. Rick, thoughts here?
Okay, lot to cover, so I'll try to squeeze all of it in. First, if we could put up that Trump tweet one more time, because what I find laughable about Twitter is that this is one of the most grotesque untruths. And there's just that little disclaimer that's like, this claim about election fraud is disputed. Right. It's sort of like with a Viagra commercial when they're like, by the way, your boner will last for 18 hours, but it's no big deal. So like how I feel about all this, there's a lot to get to. The first is, she said that Rudy Giuliani and Mark Meadows asked for pardons. That's kind of a big thing. The whole catch-up stuff, I really don't care, because I already knew that this guy is probably clinically insane. But what I think is truly, truly important about these hearings is this is coming from someone who is in conservative circles, who has worked for Steve Scalise, who has worked for Ted Cruz, who has worked for Mark Meadows. And Mark Meadows made it clear that he wanted her to basically be at his side wherever they went, to be taking notes, to listen. This is credibility. Okay, this is not someone that the January 6th committee found off the street and is like, well, I'm a kind of conservative. Why don't I testify about what I saw? No, this is a person who was literally in the room during those times. The other one that's very big that you touched on was, well, actually, one other quick thing was he wanted, in Trump's words, according to Hutchinson, the mags not taken away, as in the weapons that his supporters had. He wanted them to be able to attend the rally and then go to the Capitol. He wanted to be at the Capitol. As you said, and I agree with, he wanted to lead this entire thing because he believes that he is what conservatives think of him, deep conservatives, where you see those images of him looking like Rambo with all these like muscular features, and he's like a tough leader. That's exactly what he wanted. He did the photo op when he took off his mask when he had COVID. When he returned to the White House, he wanted another photo op just like that again, where he was leading the coup. All that it's going to take now is other people to just have a shred of dignity, a shred of pride to say, this has probably gone far enough. And the fact that we're hearing this from a 25-year-old who has been in Republican circles, and quite frankly, it appears gone along with it for a long time until she saw the writing on the wall. What exactly will it take for them to have any of the balls that it takes to simply say enough is enough. I don't know if we'll ever see it because they're probably going to go down with the ship.
Yep. It's unfortunate, it's sad, but possibly absolutely true.